For February the 28th, 2020, we talk about Frostpunk, The Last Autumn, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and we ask you about your favorite vehicles and games. Welcome to Level 318. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maismith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Please forgive if we sound different than you are expecting us to. Also, if we sound better than you're expecting us to. Hopefully. We're changing some things around here on the back end to streamline the operation, run leaner and meaner. All of those kind of things, by which I mean I'm firing all of you. No, I'm not doing that. I could fire you guys.
How are our pensions?
Oh, ooh.
Sucks for you. I have a golden parachute package.
A golden parachute would be terrible if you were falling out of a plane.
Yeah, they always struck me as problematic. Similarly, golden handcuffs probably wouldn't be very effective.
Oh no, you'd rip them apart like the Hulk.
Then you got two gold. That sounds pretty good, actually. Then you got things that are gold that you can go to your nearest jeweler, sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get enough money to flee down Mexico way over to Portugal.
Go to a pawn shop. It's just riddled with golden handcuffs.
Yeah. You're back. You're back, Dennis.
I am back and better than before.
Yeah, you were ill, is my understanding.
Correct. Strep and me are just such good buddies at this point.
I don't think Strep is anybody's friend.
No. The nice thing about Strep is that it goes away when asked. Like when you can get on antibodies, it'll go away pretty quickly. That's the one thing I got going for me.
Ugh.
Don't worry, that'll be changing soon.
Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, it seems, I don't know if it's travel that would make total sense or just the time of year that would make total sense. But I am a strep magnet.
Ugh, man. I mean, forgive me if this compromises your OPSEC, but you still have your tonsils, right?
I do still have my tonsils, and it has come into serious consideration whether or not that is a good idea at this point.
Yeah.
So everyone says like, I've had my tonsils, or everyone, I talked to someone at work that's like, I've had my tonsils out as an adult. I would rather go through my ACL surgery again than that. I would rather, like it could take care of the strep problem, but then I would have to get my tonsils out as an adult.
That's,
show of hands, who still has your tonsils? I still have mine, I think.
Ooh. David?
I do not. That's also where I learned that I react incredibly poorly to total anesthesia.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's like that is more people than you might expect who react poorly to general anesthesia. Like, did you have an allergic reaction, or was it just that it like messed you up for days?
Oh, it's more apparently some people react with just like irrational anger. So I proceeded to like wake up and tear the IVs out of my arm. Yeah,
no, a very similar case for me. When I was like 11, I had an endoscopy, and I woke up in the middle of it, and I was like, hey, trying to like push away at the doctor who was running a tube down my throat.
To be fair, I feel like that's
that's like natural responses.
Yeah. No,
unless you're into that, yeah,
and just any kind of anesthesia. Like when I had my root canal last year, the numbing didn't work.
Oh no!
It was hey, can you give me some more of that? I still feel it. Hey, can you give me some more of that? I still feel it.
That's like my understanding is there's at least some theory that most anesthesia, like general anesthesia, I cannot pronounce that word, so. Doesn't actually work. However, one of the side effects is memory loss. So just no one remembers that you're actually going through all the surgeries completely conscious.
Yeah. Here's my question. So tonsil surgery as an adult. So I know that like getting chicken pox as an adult is a thing that can really fuck you up.
Sure.
like really, really badly. Is that the case with tonsil surgery as an adult?
I think it's just your ability to bounce back from surgery in general is lowered, and the fact that is surgery on, I mean, your mouth, right, or your throat, just makes it, it's gonna suck anytime. If you get it out as a kid, you're kind of programmed at that point to deal with it quickly. As an adult, everything is slower and more painful.
Ugh. Well, I don't mean to make you talk about this incredibly distressing thing.
It's fine. I'm just happy to not have strep right now. We'll figure it out the next time. The good news is, or good and bad news, I've had strep often enough that I can tell when it's strep fairly early on versus a cold or something else. And so this, usually I'm a pretty my mentality is I don't get sick kind of person. Where okay, I feel a little bit icky, but I'll be fine. And that's caused me to ride out strep way longer than I should. And this time it was just, I recognized that little tickle, and that, by the time I was even able to get into the doctor, I was feeling like shit. And it's okay, I made the right call on this. So I've had enough times to get familiar with it.
But that shouldn't be the case.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Yeah. Let's see, David, how about you? What's going on?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Enjoyed the streaming shenanigans over the weekend. So that was kind of fun. I don't know. I figure maybe we'll talk about that later on. Some.
I mean, we can talk about that now because that's really the only thing that that I had going on too. So just over the weekend, we did kind of a couple of streaming events in order to raise money for Bernie Sanders' campaign. Watching the streams was not necessarily we weren't going to make you sign a pledge that you were going to vote for the guy. It was still just a fun stream to do. But on Saturday, Ben and we streamed Frostpunk the Last Autumn. Yeah. Not Frosty yet, punk. And then on Sunday they did the Portland folks did a Dark Souls randomizer run. And it was a good time.
The Dark Souls randomizer run was pretty hilarious.
It's so good. So anybody who's listening to this, go on my Twitter. I took a bunch of clips when I was around, just of funny things that happened. So they randomized enemies and items, and also NPC gear. So lots of just wacky character designs on people and stuff. Like Solaire looked like he fell out of a Final Fantasy 12 anime adaptation. It was a good time.
Does the Smith Andres or whatever, does the game eventually coerce you into fighting him?
I mean, you can.
You can, but
really
my understanding is that a significant portion, particularly of Dark Souls 2, is hey, here's these characters that used to be your friends, now kill them. Do they ever pull that with him? Andre
never aggros. The giant blacksmith, I don't even think you can fight him. And Vamos, the undead blacksmith, you can fight him, but again, none of them actually, none of them aggro you at any point unless you aggro them.
Sure. But yeah, that was hilarious because I did not realize that his special attack was a professional wrestling style drop kick.
Oh, Andre the Giant. He's a big guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How far did you guys get in Frostpunk?
So we got up to maybe we had day 20 something. We had 13 or 18 days left, something like that. We got to the point where the temperature started dropping.
Starts to get pretty scary. Good time to stop.
I'm gonna save the Frostpunk talk specifically for when we get in the grind, just because that's really cool and I want to talk about it in that particular section.
So other than that, just one other kind of fun story. As normal, kind of my fun stuff for the week was doing martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys I was sparring against had a technique he was using that's really, really difficult to defend against. Basically, you take the stick, hold it overhead and with both hands, one hand at either end, so you can basically, release one and attack from either side. Mm-hmm. And, did this kind of wide whipping attack from the side and was really, really effective. So I asked him afterwards, where'd you learn that? He looks at me and says, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
He was using Donatello's strategies?
Apparently, yeah. So there you have it. Real life, follows fiction or whatever.
Did you put him against Lazarus yet?
Yeah.
She's like, I asked him where he learned it, but he Donatello me.
No.
That's the one bad of the group. Yeah.
The Punisher.
He's zoinks, man. So anyway, moving on. That's very funny. Just do you think he was telling you the truth, or was he?
I think he probably was, actually.
Okay. Huh. Well, that is the thing that I would say if I didn't want somebody to take my technique seriously, so I could continue using it on them, so nobody would come after me. Very cool. Ben, how about you?
I spent the weekend doing Frostpunk with you.
Yeah.
I also got to go to a pinball place that was south of the city that was okay, and I went for a run last night. So,
cool.
Mixed bag.
What was it? Was it warm enough to do that?
Yeah, it's warm enough to run. It's not warm enough to walk casually, I guess. It's like
Was it voluntary or from something?
It's from me looking at my scale. That's about it.
Yeah. The pinball place, it had a name so embarrassing it could peel paint, but I forget what it was.
Ding ding flip flip.
Yeah.
Flip flip ding ding. Yeah. I thought it was flip flop ding ding, but it was just flip flip ding ding.
Gotcha. Flip flop ding ding is
yeah.
Flip flop ding ding is much worse.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and everything that I've been doing this past week has been related to that stream. So why don't we get started? Why don't we go right in and do the usual kind of show with the grind, the multiplayer, and then the end bosses, beginning with The Grind, where we talk about the things we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Dennis, I believe you've been away the longest, so I will throw it to you.
Yeah, happy to jump in. I've got a bunch of new stuff to talk about. Although one that was very strongly foreshadowed on the last episode I was on, where I advocated for a not pandemic. What's the name of the Platinum? There we go. Platinum style Lord of the Rings game.
Okay.
David and several others pointed out there definitely is one called Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
Okay.
In my curiosity, I went to just go, look, and the Shadow of War, which is the sequel, and we'll talk about how horrible those sequel names are. But Shadow of War, like the complete edition with every DLC ever, was on sale for 75% off or something like that.
Whoa.
I was like,
okay.
It's a sign. I must do this now. So I've downloaded and have started playing Middle Earth: Shadow of War.
Okay.
And as someone who has never finished the first game, I dabbled in the first game, played a little bit of it.
Yeah.
The story starts as WTF off the rails as it can possibly start. You are basically an orc slaying machine when you start, and it only gets crazier from there.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's not familiar, this is kind of an Assassin's Creed-like. That has you as a ranger, kind of based out of Mordor, that is sowing chaos and discord among the orc ranks to undermine the efforts of Sauron. and you actually, your character dies or is supposed to die at the very start of the game, but finds himself. What's that?
Of the first game, actually.
Of the first game, that's right. Yeah, this is going all the way back. A whole game back. But he's supposed to die, but finds himself unable to like cross over into death because some kind of like wraith elf spirit kind of deal is holding him captive. And you eventually find out that this is like the elf who made the original rings that have been, shaping the history of Middle Earth, and that he's been trapped for his deeds, unable to pass over, and that, and this is where my knowledge of the first game breaks down. Something about him holding you hostage to help him accomplish or his penance or whatever to so that both of you can pass over to the afterlife. So that's cool. Okay. It's a bit of a stretch. The second game starts with you just nonchalantly forging a new One Ring. No big deal. Just like the most iconic, powerful MacGuffin in the history of MacGuffins.
Okay.
Why not double up? And this one doesn't have the impurity of the first that like makes it destructive. This is the good one.
So it's all of the power without any of the temptation or corruption?
Yeah, which probably explains why it's so easy for you to promptly hand it over to Shelob as ransom when she captures your buddy, your elf spirit buddy. And then all she does, I don't know how she captures him, but forging the ring somehow separates you from him. Okay. You find him kind of in her clutches. He goes, "Arg, that hurts," and you're like, "No, take the ring. Here, have the ring." For this guy that you notably don't like. Like the whole nature of the relationship is that the two people like don't like each other but are kind of stuck together.
To be fair, part of that is, and this is a little bit something that like kind of gets explored later on in the first game, is your character can't be alive without him.
Aha. But his motivation seems like, hey, I want to die well. I wish I could cross over and be with my family.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the problem.
But also, remember Shelob the spider is also now changed into a hot lady?
Except when she isn't.
And is that, David, you might know, does that have any basis in the lore that Shelob had different forms?
I think only incredibly stretching it, in that, like, I think technically she's, some sort of like pseudo, what in our world would be either like an angel or a demon or something like that. So technically she could have whatever form she wanted. However, I don't think there's ever any indication that she ever has any form other than spider.
Yeah. I mean, she's full on Bjorned it if you're a fan of The Hobbit.
Okay.
Spider instead of bear. Which so just from the outset, it is Lord of the Rings Calvin Ball here, but they own it so much, like they go so over the top with it that it's okay. Like I'm here for it. That's fun.
I mean, like I can see like it's fun to make a note of just because it's a real well-known story, et cetera. Like I can't see being like upset at a choice like making Shelob appear as a woman in the Wraith world or whatever, or making a new One Ring. Like I don't know, like this doesn't have to be canon. I would actually be really bummed out if they had to be 100% faithful. Like, hey, use the cool stuff from this, but also just tell a fun story or a good story or a story that says something about Middle Earth that might not be possible with canon. That seems fine to me, and I'm more likely to play this now that I know, or not now because David has talked about how far it goes off the rails before. Like knowing this, I'm much more likely to play it than if it was, played straight up the middle, right?
Yeah.
Well, and how far into it are you?
I think still very early.
Okay.
Like I've only unlocked the first two areas. I've only taken down one war chief as part of the main quest and have not really explored. I mean, this is the other thing is the the sandbox trap of this game is real, where it's like, okay, I need to go to point B, from point A to point B for the next story quest. Oh, and I'll be walking right past that collectible. I might as well just grab it, because it's right on my way. And then 6 hours later, you're like, what was I heading out to do? I've taken over 3 orc camps and died 6 times and gone down a whole unlockable train. The game is 99% complete, but I have not touched the next story mission.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I may be basing this off of things that I heard about the first one, but like everything you do helps you progress, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is, it is so rare to have a game that just feels like it's got a system or an idea that is so completely new. And I don't know if they call it the Nemesis system, but I'm going to call it that.
Yeah, they do.
Their Nemesis system is so unique to anything else I've seen, where the orcs kind of have this hierarchy, and anyone in the hierarchy has a name, and you can kind of challenge them to a duel. They all have their unique strengths and weaknesses. And as you take out orcs in the hierarchy, they'll be replaced, or, orcs that kill you get promoted. Or, they'll even have infighting and stuff with each other, down to like, sometimes there might be infighting. They might hate each other. Sometimes they might actually be like, I've seen blood brothers, as war chiefs. They're bodyguards for other orcs higher up, and there's whole dynamics you can manage there. So just that, and that was really introduced, I think, with Shadow of Mordor, the first game.
Yeah.
But they continue on it and expand on it in a way that's really, really cool in the second. And I can't point to anything that it's like, and I love that.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, slashy it up in Assassin's Creed style. If you're careful about things, you can just lay waste without ever showing your face. I think my best one so far is just shooting down a hunk of meat hanging above some orcs, which lured in a giant predator. That then the entire encampment went to fight, and I just got to watch as the predator. What I managed to lure in was big enough that it took out an entire encampment of orcs, including the boss I was going for. But the other cool thing is that, when you do die to an orc, not only do they get promoted, but they get stronger, and their nicknames will change and stuff like that. And that is so freaking motivating. Like the amount of extra hours I've put in this game because, no, I can't go out to that motherfucker. Like I gotta go hunt him now. Like this is over. And then layer into that the fact that you're doing all these random side quests and kind of forgetting what you were doing while you're going to screw this guy over and it's really got that just one more drip in a way that I don't think I've seen in games I've played for a while. So that's a ton of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So have you gone far enough? Have you driven a orcs crazy yet?
By the technical definition of what you're referencing, I don't think so. But
okay.
Causing an orc's head to pop like you do after you interrogate anyone, I think counts as driving them crazy
for a split second.
It's gotta just doing something to their brain there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I'm really excited to see because like it only gets much more crazy from there. And the Nemesis system actually opens up a lot from there. Some things for like fun times would be recruit an orc with a blood brother and then send them to duel their blood brother.
No.
Similarly, for added shenanigans, drive one of them crazy first.
And is there like dialogue around all of
that? Yeah.
The sheer number of eventualities they had to think of for like I want to know how many hours recorded dialogue are in this game.
Yeah. I mean there is a lot of there is a lot of just random just weird orc personality stuff like that, and then there's actually a surprising number of fairly bespoke personalities that are either like very specifically like will only show up once in the game or will only show up in response to like say a orc that you killed in a certain way that then came back to life.
Yeah,
things like
I've
that.
had that. Yep. Dude came back like basically all metal worked back together, essentially.
Yeah.
The other thing I've had is I got in a fight, lost to the orc, and the guy like wound up to kill me, and then some random other orc just like killed him. It took him out, and said something. It was something to me like, "Hey, good to see you," and ran away. Like it was.
So that's actually, I looked it up. That the orc is named after, and it's kind of a homage to a developer that passed away during the making of the game.
Oh no way!
Yeah, so that's actually where that's from.
That's awesome. I mean, not awesome that he passed, but
that's good of
Pay
them
tribute.
to,
Although eventually, once you start recruiting orcs, actually your orcs can do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so and that can range anywhere from them just like coming in and reviving you and then like fighting alongside you to, if you have one that's a sniper, just like headshotting the guy.
That's great.
So yeah, the game, very, very good stuff.
Yeah.
All of this conversation to say I've barely scratched the surface of the game, which is exciting. So
Cool.
Yeah, that's Middle Earth: Shadow of War.
Cool.
Which is probably the second game in this series, but with those terrible names, who knows?
Yeah.
You just got to alphabetize them. It's no problem.
There you go. Yeah. Well, they didn't leave themselves a lot of.
Nope. Shadow of Zenith is the next one.
So then, the other two games that I've played are like blast from the past throwback games.
Okay.
My affection for Crash Bandicoot, and particularly for CTR, is well known. And I was texting back and forth with my brother when he pointed out that there was a reboot out on PS4. And I think it's on multiple platforms, but it's CTR Nitro Fueled. And he kind of says like, well, if you buy it, I might buy it. And I was like, well, if you buy it, I might buy it. And then we agreed to do it. So I picked that up. And have been playing through, or actually have already completed the main campaign of CTR. And it is good old-fashioned CTR with a visual upgrade, but feel-wise, it is everything that I remembered, which is really, really fun.
Did they add new tracks with the update?
Well, that's the incredible thing. So I think there's something like either 16 or 20 original tracks.
Okay.
And the list of bonus tracks is at least as long, if not longer, than the main campaign's list of tracks. Is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of bonus content they have in there. So I kind of went straight into adventure mode, which took me through all the tracks that I knew and loved. But there is a world of new tracks that I can now start cruising through that have been added to the game, and that's really, really cool and fun. I think there were like sequels of some sort created for CTR when they had kind of farmed out Crash Bandicoot for a while.
Yeah.
And it's still farmed out, but it's just kind of more polished, or this is seen as like a good remake, whereas the sequels were kind of actually regressive for the series.
Yeah, and like you're not talking about like Crash 1, 2, and 3. You're talking about like Crash, like Mind Over Mutant and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if the tracks are just lifted from those games or if they are new creations. I know there's at least one, and so I'm imagining the game came out in July-ish, I think, 2019. And then I picked it up, obviously, 6+ months later. But like just a couple days into me having picked it up, there was a big content release, and they added a new game mode and a character and a new track, or maybe multiple new tracks. Yeah. So I get the impression this is something that they've been supporting pretty actively.
Nice.
That brings me to my one huge beef with the game. So
okay.
Racer I love. When I was playing with my brother, obviously online, he's in Toledo. His wife wanted in on the fun. I was like, oh yeah, that's great. Let's do that. And Jen and I have played on it local co-op here. And so like, is there a way to do an online lobby that has at least one of the people joined in local co-op? And the answer is no, but it was not always no.
What?
Right. So apparently there was you were able to do it when the game was first released, but it was a glitch. You would go into a local co-op screen, and then have someone invite you from your local co-op screen into an online lobby, and that would get you in. And I'm sure I'm oversimplifying that, but and that worked. You could do that with friends. You could, queue into lots of stuff that way. And so like the capability to have local and online blended at the same time is 100% there. And they patched it out, which is mind blowing to me.
Did they give a reason? Was it like a stability thing or what?
I mean, I have to imagine there's something along those lines, because again, it was apparently not an intended feature. But if it wasn't an intended feature, what are you thinking? Like, this is it's very clear they understand. Like, if you read about the game and stuff, they understand the appeal of the local multiplayer.
Yeah.
And to think that no one on the development team was like, hey, we should let the people on the couch go online together. It's just ludicrous to me. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, that's bonkers. I don't like that one bit.
No, me neither. So for the time being, is a binary. You're either doing couch co-op or you're doing online. I could see, again, especially because there was a big patch so recently, they're still actively supporting it. I could see it maybe added as a mode.
Right.
And they wanted to make sure they got it right stability wise, knocked out the glitch, but they're intending to add it back. But I who knows? I can't tell on that front.
Right.
But man, is it some good times. The concept of the boss race is really fun, where it's 1v1, but they're given some sort of advantage, usually in the form of some obstacle that they can drop behind them perpetually if you're in second.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fun. It's infuriating, but it feels so good when you do win.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's every ounce of that. Any Crash game is just dripping with personality.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the first throwback game I've been playing, which is CTR Nitro Fueled.
Okay.
Any questions or thoughts on that one?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the weird. It was a $40. And so I should be like, oh yeah, pick it up, guys. We'll times around the circuit and just relive. I don't know. Did you guys ever play it?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
See, it's worth checking out, but probably not for the full price that they're charging. Now, like I said, there's a ton of content in there, but I'm sure it'll go on sale at some point for way cheaper. And that's when I'll advocate for you picking it up. But
yes,
good stuff there. The other thing that's happened is I think in the past year there have been 4 new families that have moved onto my street, and we progressive dinner for the neighborhood recently, and so I got to know a little bit hang out with all of them a bit more than I had before, and came to discover that 2 of them are big gamers, which is exciting.
Cool.
So now I have 2 people within within 2 houses of me that are gamers. And not only that, but one of them played Call of Duty semi-professionally, right? I shouldn't say semi. He played it professionally while he was in Italy.
Yeah.
So he played for the Italian national team.
Nice.
And this was like OG Call of Duty before it was Modern Warfare.
Right.
Playing it competitively. So really cool to get to hear his story.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so what do you do now? He's like, I those arena combat games, instant action, small maps. I'm not so much for all this battle stuff. I'm playing a lot of Quake Live.
Oh yeah.
And Quake Live is still an older game, but it is a kind of loving creation of a lot of the people that were originally on Quake. That's very, very faithful to the oeuvre of those games.
Yeah.
So I checked it out on Steam. It was $10, picked it right up, and have been playing with him. And man, it is not a toxic environment. People have been very friendly, but it is an environment where everyone playing has been playing for 7+ years. They all know each other. Oh, that's Hit on the other team. He's blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Or, oh, that's Pennywise. That's so and so, or whatever. It is no joke and very, very intimidating to step into that community.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say, maybe 7 years or whatever. There are probably people who have been playing that since the Quake 3 demo came out in 1999.
Oh my God. Yeah. I totally believe. And so, it's funny, it also, David, you will be pleased, has a very, traditional, server hosting, custom maps kind of deal. And everyone's doing their own thing. There's automatic team balancing based on the elo ranking. But otherwise it's a pretty bare bones arena shooter, but everyone just, knows every single inch of the map. And of course there's the infamous like rocket jumping and mobility stuff that, as you watch other people play, as you spectate in death, as I am doing quite a lot right now, like you just watch some of these people move around the maps and they're like, rocket jumping backwards and then shooting into a wall to knock themselves sideways to land on a platform that is very small that you like, they just simply aren't even looking at it, but they just know if I jump like this and shoot like this, I will land on that platform because they've been playing this game on these maps forever. So that's just it's fun to watch people be good at things, slightly less fun when those people are also just nailing you in the face with sniper shots from across the map. But what can you do? And I've started to hit my groove a little bit. The last time I played, positive and kill death ratio, all that stuff. But more importantly, I'm just having an absolute blast. Like it is a bare game that when you spawn for teams, it's, play red versus blue. It just drops you into the map and then you get 10 seconds to sort out which side is going to go where.
Yep.
And everyone just kind of like runs to their side of the map. And I've had more than my fair share of deaths to just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Everyone around me is a different. Oh shit! Well, yeah.
And they run to the other side of the map, but it's an incredibly mobile game, so like it is constantly shifting as it goes around.
Exactly.
As people
or
make
like
their circuits.
Everyone gets to high ground, and then just someone on the team. No one's using a mic really, although I'm Discord chatting with my neighbor. But there's like some unspoken signal, some pheromone that gets released when your team realizes that it will be disadvantageous for you to start in the traditional position, and everyone melts away except for me.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, just like don't you know the quad damage is going to respawn, so we all need to get over there and try and get it.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
Like, yeah.
Oh, the rocket's going to be here again. Yeah, they're just like chasing spawns and stuff like that, and trying to keep people from getting settled in on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I sacrifice positioning more often than not. But like I said, I've started to hold my own, started to hear the beautiful ding of getting a frag more frequently, which is fun. Like it's fun to master things. And even though I am 7 years behind on the mastery curve, I am advancing up it. So I'll take that any day. And it's great bonding with a neighbor, which is good.
Yeah. My favorite thing that happened was just my favorite thing to do in Quake 3, and this is, an update of that. There was like a map that was in space that was primarily just platforms and launch pads, like for jumping, and doing railgun jousting was my favorite thing to do with that. Just like, okay, we're going to each take this launch pad, head at each other with the railgun out, and like, yep, just one shot while you're in the air. You are unable to maneuver, like you're committed to it. Like that was just like the best, just the best expression of a duel in games, like a classic like quick draw duel. Like, are you going to waste your shots? Are you going to shoot them on the way up or on the way down? All of that stuff.
Well, and the best, I mean, there's certainly plenty of things that weren't best about it, but the most impressive thing about all that, I'll say, is, that is not supported by the infrastructure of the game explicitly. Like, a modern game that's something like that would have joust mode and would have, queues and have restrictions on when you could fire and everything. And this is just like, no, you'd get in a lobby and you'd say to your friend, hey, go over there, I'll go over here. Let's kind of make our own fun. Yeah. Which is just fantastic. And so just a return to something with that spirit has been very, very refreshing.
Yeah. Like, to me, just working it out with somebody is easier than like finding the drop down in the menu to set up the official joust mode, like any of that would be. Like all of the online service stuff has kind of left me behind a little bit, but yeah.
So yeah, that's been an absolute blast. And like I said, good bonding. So I plan on making that a a mainstay, at least while it's popular in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's Quake Live. So I am between that and CTR. I'm living it up in the in like 1993.
In the late 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Man, I need to fire up Quake Live. It's been too long. Like I was a weirdo. I played that on the Dreamcast. So.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the keyboard and mouse for Dreamcast. Huh.
Not many people do.
Yeah, I still have mine. It's a good keyboard. It's nice and clicky. Yeah, it's an okay mouse.
Oh, that was the other thing. I was talking to him. He was getting me introduced to the game. He's like, "Oh, here you got a mechanical keyboard. That's good." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh man, I'm being evaluated on." And again, very gracious community. Have not been like shit talked or anything like that.
Yeah.
There is, it's all good.
They haven't started sleeping with one another yet.
No, that's
heroes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just saying, no, that's what you do for real in the name.
Quake on After Dark.
Oh goodness. Yeah. So good times.
Cool. Is that all you had?
Those are my three. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to do mine just because we alluded to it at the start, and also I'm kind of champing at the bit to talk about it. It's been everything I could do to not just fire it up and play more of it since we streamed it on Saturday. But I have recently played the most recent kind of expansion or like additional downloadable scenario for Frostpunk called Frostpunk The Last Autumn. And this is cool. So remember, the premise of Frostpunk is there's like global cooling. The world is entering this horrible ice age. And all of the people from like the cities in Britain and Europe, they have evacuated up north to these like canyons where people have built these generators that use coal and use just like the power of the like geothermal power in order to provide warmth to the new cities. And various things can go wrong with those, etc. This scenario takes place before the cooling has set in.
Yes. So it is normal. It is a sweltering 50 degrees at the start of the game.
Yes, it is.
Punk.
Yeah, it is a 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, there are no complaints. And what you are, like, you are kind of, you as the player are the, manager or leader of this expeditionary company hired by...
Show.
Yeah, you are from corporate, but like the expeditionary company has contracted you, or the government has contracted the expeditionary company to send you and a bunch of workers up there in order to build one of these generators. That it might be the possible future of mankind, even though there's plenty of like skepticism about whether or not this cooling is going to happen.
Yeah, I think the most telling way you can say it is they've removed the hope meter and they added the motivation meter.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, they've added the motivation, which is like, is this even worth doing?
Yeah.
And so, good.
It's such a good design move because it's like what's coming because you've played the original game. And so now it's like you have to manage this thing where you have to try and like slowly break it to the people that it's like things are not going to get good.
Yeah, we're not going to be going home is the thing about this.
It's sort of like when you go home for Thanksgiving and talk to your Republican family members about global warming.
Yes. Like, I read an article and I don't know, I can't even make up a joke publication from the, 1880s Britain that this game takes place in. So instead of fighting against the temperature, where, temperatures will rise and fall and you have to provide enough shelter and provide enough, and make sure that your generator is stocked with enough coal to keep it running. Instead of anything like that, everything is geared around labor because you need a whole bunch of people to work in this incredibly dangerous, basically mine shaft in order to assemble everything about this generator to have it ready. And you have deadlines to meet. They're like milestones that you need to hit or you will be fired. And like, because you've tunneled so deep into the earth, like there's toxic gas and stuff that is coming out, and very quickly you realize that like you have to take care of these people, and they will refuse to work if it's too dangerous. They will go on strike. They will like force you to figure out a way to remediate or to mediate conflicts, right? All while trying to, A, make sure that people don't lose motivation, and B, make sure that they remain content. So in the base game, you're pretty much trying to, you pretty much have to choose either between religion or basically police in order to provide enough security and purpose for everybody in your little colony. Here, like the option is, you basically choose to side with either the workers or the engineers.
Yeah, the engineers are like weirdly the bad guys in this game.
So like the engineers are the highly educated bourgeoisie, and the workers are the people who actually, it's like the regular folks. You have way more workers than you do engineers. There's more call for workers than there is for engineers. Mm-hmm. The engineers, they primarily staff the workshops to like research for your tech tree and your like medical facilities. Everything else is done by workers.
And they also see workers as highly disposable.
Yes. So like if, like part way down each of those mutually exclusive tracks, like it's relatively reasonable. So if you side with the labor unions, you can establish like collective bargaining so that if there are things happening at, if there are things wrong at multiple work sites, you can, make an offer that will solve a problem at one that will get the others, to go back to work as well. Like halfway down the engineering path, is something like, okay, the engineers come up with some kind of, checklist work procedure for the workers to follow in order to be safe, stuff like that. Just like in the main game, though, where halfway up any one of those trees is reasonable. It's like, yeah, we should probably have churches that do services, or yeah, we should probably have guard towers. Like at the very end of like the worker path is like a complete like reign of terror that happens. And at the very end of the engineer path, like you can basically turn the entire work site into a penal colony where the workers are basically prison slaves.
It's a gulag, yeah.
Yeah. No, the gulag's up in the worker path. But it's, yeah, so it can get incredibly grim, but you're dealing with this. And this is very difficult because, like, you do have deadlines to meet, and, to fully staff these work sites, it needs to be, you need 30, 50 people, healthy and working in there. And you have to like use a ton of resources to get this stuff to go. So it's not like you are making, just a handful of like little trade-offs. Like you have to really, really have your entire supply chain on point because you'll be bottlenecked at any number of things.
Sometimes to the point where you cannot continue with the game.
Yep, we threw a play out. We threw some gameplay out.
It's got XCOM syndrome where you can lose 6 hours before you lose.
Yeah. So how far into it were we then before
like
we
only day 4 maybe? Not
something
far.
like that. Yeah, it was just like, I like the first thing that screwed me up was I didn't have any, like, basically I used up all of our wood. And I didn't have a way to like build a shipping dock to get more wood shipped in, and I didn't have a sawmill built. Yeah. So like, yeah. If my good.
Oh, sorry. No, go on.
Yeah. If my current playthrough had kept on going, it would have we would have been bottlenecked on steel. Was the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Both, I guess, as separate questions, is it possible to not go extremist on one of the two paths? And is it possible to win that way?
Yes. Okay, so I'm making an educated guess that is how it works in The Last Autumn. In the base game, you don't have to cross the line. Like you know, that's specifically what they call it if you use the, you know, the more extreme thing at the end. Like the benefit at the end of any of those paths is a complete elimination of one of the meters that they are holding against you. So like, you know, in the base game, you have the hope meter. Well, it doesn't really matter if hope doesn't really matter if everybody is completely inculcated into worshiping you as the God King, right? Like it just doesn't matter. Like we listen to exactly what he says because he is a conduit through which the will of the divine is
the Warhammer 40K approach.
Yeah. So like at the very end, the temptation of the more fascistic kind of angles is more, just like, I don't want to have to deal with this meter anymore, or I do not want to have to deal with like the random events that pop up every once in a while of like rebellion. People will resist you if you start exercising too much power.
It's funny. It puts you in a very vulnerable situation that I was not prepared for. It's like, oh, they're on strike. Nobody's working now. Like, all right, now I got to bargain with these workers. Like, I haven't really seen that in many real-time strategy games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just like it's a little bit like, all right, I come into it with my own biases. I believe organized labor is good. But then like they go on strike and it's like, guys, I know, I understand it's super dangerous down there, but we're all going to like mega die like in 2 weeks.
There was added pressure since we were streaming for Bernie. We had to make kind of collective bargaining happen and workers needed to happen.
Nothing terrible happened. Nothing terrible happened about it.
The law for Medicaid for all.
I mean, at the site, everybody gets the medical care that they need. Like, you can even, pass laws that say, hey, like, it is so socialized that, if you lose a limb to, tragic injuries, like, we will ship you in robot parts. Like, it is about as close to fully automated communism as you can get on the site.
So Autocom.
The thing I remember just being kind of weird and borderline, like, I don't know, plot holey or whatever, is just in the base game where one of the options is like, what do you do with dead bodies?
Yeah.
And, it sets it up for like, hey, we'll freeze them so that we can use them for organ transplants.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, that's never actually an option.
No, they end up being used as fertilizer in your hothouses. Yeah,
which
really?
Is hilarious. Yeah.
I thought you could use them for science at some point. Maybe maybe I'm misremembering it.
Yeah,
I think that fertilizer is the only option.
But it's a really impressive addition. They change an awful lot about the base game. It's very difficult, but like, I don't know, Frostpunk itself is really difficult as it stands. And to get this glimpse at the world, what it was like before, what people's cares were, before the frost came is super interesting. And, this still is just, it hits kind of like every aspect of like management sim that I want a management sim to hit. I'm smitten with it still.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I did not start it up in between Saturday and today.
Yeah. It was just a matter of busyness. What's up?
This is probably reading too much into it, but do they ever explain why, at least in the base game, why you're setting up your city in Antarctica?
The world is Antarctica?
No, so it's not Antarctica. You have gone north specifically because of... Yeah, you've gone to the north of Britain specifically for geothermal vents.
Okay, but see, I thought in like the opening voiceover they specifically said Antarctica.
No,
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's not that. No.
Yeah, because that kind of confused me. It's like, I get that it's cold everywhere, but why would you go where it's like super cold?
Maybe it's bizarre weather. Maybe it's warm in Antarctica.
Yeah, it all flips around. Mm-hmm. Did you have any more thoughts about The Last Autumn, Ben, that I skipped? You were there.
I just can't overstate how good the choice was to do a prequel of like you knowing the direction that the camp's going to head but everyone in the camp just being like, man, like I want to go back home and be with my family or whatever. Like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah. But I wish that there was an option.
You could get real dark and like just for the people you don't like, be like, all right.
I wish that there was an option, just like to burn the ships or dismantle the ships, just like Columbus or Cortez or whatever. Like, just okay, we're here. Yeah, it's like all right, just in case anybody thinks there's a way out of this. Yeah. I want to go. I want to play it. I want to hit both of the extremes. I want to. I'm down with it. And like, there's going to be another one coming. Like, there's a whole other scenario that they're working on. That's part of the season pass,
which is $20 on Steam right now. So
yeah,
nice. Have they said anything about what it's going to be?
All that they say is it's a secret mission, but I have no idea what that means.
So I'm really hoping for Fallout crossover.
Let me see here. So like it's like project, and then it says it's like project, and it's like a Scandinavian, like a Norse mythology kind of thing. So I wonder if like you're installed at another country's camps as like either a saboteur or like somebody who was trying to funnel secrets back to Britain, something like that. Don't know. Frostpunk is an amazing game, you guys. One of the best games of the 5 years, absolutely.
Whoa.
One of the best games of the past 5 years. Absolutely.
So apropos of nothing, I Googled Bernie Punk. And I did not get the results I was expecting, but I did get results that were fun.
Oh man.
It was less rivets and more Seattle.
Yeah, more of a grungy kind of thing. Let me think here. What else have I done? I also streamed the Haunted PS1 demo disc over the past weekend. I don't want to go into too much detail about that because it's like 18 different games, or like demos for 18 different games, or alpha versions of 18 different games, all of them horror or supernatural themed, all of them independent, made by very small teams, and all of them in kind of a retro aesthetic. You can either watch the stream archives, or you can check out the Haunted PS1 demo disc itself. Like, it's super cool and really weird, and some of them are very off-putting in a fun, yes, this disc is haunted kind of way.
Yeah, some of the horror was really effective in some of the games.
Yeah. So some of it really got under my skin. So, some of them are like bummers, just in terms of like, yeah, that wasn't either very fun or it wasn't very scary, but like, I don't know. I can't.
Did any of it literally get under your skin?
No. My skin was uncompromised.
Damn.
There's one where there's like a door or a window or something, and there's just like a giant face on the other end of it.
Maybe.
And there's like the monsters sounded like dogs, like barking or running at you.
I can't recall what specific one you might be talking about.
It's very unfortunate. All right.
Yeah. So I will leave that as just kind of a little stinger. Additionally, I want to play more of it before I come back, but World of Horror right now seems like a must play. Like, as a thing, I would say people, like, if you were at all excited about this, like, run, don't walk to play this amazing thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's me. Let's see, Ben, since you were factored into the Frostpunk thing there, what have you been playing?
I only got one more to add on top of that. I've been playing the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, colons everywhere again.
Yeah.
It's good. There's one part where I got to a boss battle that I was not doing very well at because it heavily relied on you doing parries well, which I cannot do. So I just toned that difficulty down to the easiest setting, got past the boss battle, and then put it back up.
No shame in the game, man.
Thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm starting to see the Metroidvania of the game, where I'm starting to double back to planets that I've already been to, and I'm just able to go a little bit farther in them. Mm-hmm. at the beginning of the game, after I think the tutorial type planet, they give you two options of two planets you can go to. I went to the one that I was supposed to go to, where the like mainline quest was. I haven't gone to the other one yet, and I still haven't gone to that planet.
You haven't gone to Dathomir?
I think so. It's the non-Zepho one or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's just kind of curious that I've gone like halfway or more through the game and still have not gone to that planet. So
it's really weird because that's like super late game content that they open up at the beginning.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's bizarre then. So I take it you've already gotten there then?
No. I just know like I like from going there that like everything is really tough.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they just open it up, you can go there, see that things are difficult, and then maybe you feel more empowered when you go there at the end of the game, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure how many things there are left. As in terms of like how many gates that I can open up with new powers. It feels like I have almost everything. Some of the complaints that I was going to have with some of the mechanics of the game, they do kind of improve upon with different abilities that you unlock. It's still a little bit rough around the edges in terms of like the traversal, where it's like I think the main complaint is any sort of rope swinging. They're very like hands off. They don't guide you at all. And so if you jump off in a weird direction, there's like no way to course correct that. You just fall. The plus side is similar to like the Arkham games. If you fall off and die, they'll like load you pretty quickly. They'll load you back to where the last platform you were on. And then they just like tack some health off of you. Yeah. So that part's really good. They handled that really well. I don't know. Yeah. So like I would say it's probably similar to like Uncharted 1 in terms of polish of like those types of mechanics, where it's like they have a lot of good ideas, but it's not like fine tuned yet. They could have taken some more time to do that, I think. But outside of that, though, I mean, it's still pretty satisfying. Like the worlds still continue to be really beautiful. The story is passable and fine. The lightsaber fighting is fun. I don't know. It's like I would say it's like a B+ A- like adventure game. Like it's definitely better than average. But it's definitely not like it's not game of the year material. It's like yeah.
Well, I mean, like you're getting a version of like a Souls style content kind of thing.
Yeah. And it is interesting. It's similar to like Dark Souls. There is cool stuff where you'll like look and see in one direction and you think like, can I get there? And like, I think I can. And then it's a lot of fun trying to figure out ways to try and get traversal to happen, even though, that part is slightly fun. Sometimes it's kind of annoying. Like there's one in particular where it's like, I think I can get through here, but I have to jump off a rope, slow something down in midair, and then try and get through. And if I miss the timing of that, I just die immediately and have to respawn.
Right.
So
stuff
like that.
Lose the progress and have to start the whole process over again.
Yeah. So anyway,
nice.
Have you played any of where are you at with that, Kole?
I'm still where we left off when we last spoke, so I'm still like in the tomb on Zepho.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know that I have any other questions. Do Dennis, David, do you have any questions about it?
No. Sounds interesting. I unfortunately will probably be waiting until it comes free on some service or cheap or something.
Drop some price. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'll be very excited if they make a game, because I think there's a lot of good parts to it too. I don't want to completely just talk about the things that need more work. There's some good set pieces in the game. There's some good surprises they throw at you. So yeah.
Nice. And they've already confirmed that they're working on a sequel.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. Very cool. Is that all you had, Ben?
That's all I got.
Cool. David, how about you?
Sure. So I've been continuing on with Sunset Overdrive. And I am happy to report that kind of where I left off last time was I think a lot of whether or not it's successful is the degree to which, it actually allows you to learn its traversal mechanics.
Right.
And luckily, I feel like I've got a pretty strong handle on those mechanics. I'm definitely to the point where, I can pretty seamlessly transition between the grinds and bounces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely very positive. Overall, I'm still really enjoying the game. I mean, it's kind of dumb, but I don't know. I still I don't know. I feel like it is the ideal game for when you just want to play something that's just kind of stupid and fun.
Yeah, that's how I felt about Marvel's Spider-Man a lot of the time. Just like, oh yeah, like this just feels fun and effortless, and you get so much more out of this than you put in.
Mm-hmm. Risk of Rain 2 would go into that category for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is going to depend to a strong degree on, how you interpret and take some of the game's humor, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. For example, I, read just to kind of get a, opinion on things, the Kotaku review for the game. And, one of the things they bring up that definitely is a thing is, the game is very aggressive in just randomly breaking the fourth wall and, making jokes about the fact that it's a game, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very much a thing where that's either something you find annoying and a deal breaker or something that isn't.
Yeah, I mean, people have different tolerances for different tropes.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I also though think they bring that brings up a good point that I think sometimes the degree to which you enjoy a game partially depends on like what you choose to view as being kind of the message of the game. And, one of the things I've seen pitched, I think actually they mention it, is, there's a line in the game that, everyone is a walking cliche in someone's eyes. And, I feel like the game is very kind of endearing and, lovable and kind of wholesome if you take it as just like, hey, let's have fun and throw together all these random stupid characters and stereotypes. Mm-hmm. If you take it more seriously or expect, more kind of, mature takes on these various, subcultures and, identities and things like that, I feel like it's a game probably one people won't like. So, it's just kind of one of those things. I'm still really enjoying it. I'm currently working on, I just met a Boy Scout troop that has, with the apocalypse, has converted themselves into basically an organization of like paramilitary ninjas.
Okay.
And I'm
bankrupt paramilitary ninjas.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Woof. And I am now trying to find their scoutmaster. So that's the thing.
I mean, like last episode, there was a comparison made to like Saints Row 3 and 4. That feels apt. Like, yeah, this is supposed to be fun and not necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, I think the thing that's a little rockier is, to be fair, like the humor is nowhere near as good as like a Saints Row or anything like that. A lot of it does kind of fall flat. And so I think that does tend to kind of make some of it come across as just like grating or annoying. but at least for me, it's kind of a thing where it's like, it's not to the point where I can't just choose to overlook that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And I mean, you know, having a gun, any game with a gun called the Dude, that is literally just a bowling ball launcher. You know, I mean, that's there's got to be something for that.
I was thinking it should be a White Russian made gun.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I on Game Pass they released the, I guess, I don't know what's called early access when it's not early access, but the Game Pass access or whatever to World of Horror.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I've been screwing around with that some. Have you touched it at all?
Oh yeah, I ended my my what I've been playing with just an admonition that people who want to play it should play it because it's really good.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe when things were starting to cut out.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties. No, I fucking love it. And the only reason I didn't go into more depth on it is because I want to spend more time with it. I recorded a Hexcrank first hour about it, and that's going to be going up this week. So
nice.
Yeah.
So far, I'm really liking it. I've had some technical problems with it.
That's a thing people have said. I haven't run into it, so I can't like say, you know, like, oh, like just do this and get around that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just it, from what I can tell, the way it handles like save files is just, once you start the game, it deletes the save file. And then, you know, you would then, if you want to, you know, pick up again, you need to, you know, save.
Right.
But the problem is that means if it crashes, you know, just everything's gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of a thing, but, overall it seems fairly good. I've been, messing around with the, student that's kind of the, spellcaster archetype or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Although so far the spells have been fairly useless.
They tend to be really, specialized, at least the ones that I have, found.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see, to what degree, I feel like something you have to calibrate in these sorts of games is like, to what degree is the game going to punish me for doing stupid things?
I mean, everything about this game is designed to punish you. Like it takes 3 and gives 2, you know?
Right. But I feel like there's a difference between like when there's a system where it's like, I don't know, you know, you find some, you know, obviously evil, like, you know, bloody rune on a wall, and one of the options is taste it. Like, you know, there's 2 ways that can go. That can either
That's not
just
a real
be,
choice.
Right. That can either
taste it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I feel like the question is like not whether or not bad things will happen, but whether or not there will also be like interesting perks that come with those bad things. You know?
Right. Yeah, at like pretty much every positive comes with a negative, and like a lot of negatives come with positives on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like the structure for this, it's like I think like a little bit more narrative focused Darkest Dungeon, where everything has kind of a Call of Cthulhu as laundered through Japanese manga kind of aesthetic or feel to it, and you are kind of investigating these different scenarios, making choices about where you go, and every time you go and look at a particular place, you either get random encounters or you get random scenarios that pop up where you are forced to make a choice, and oftentimes your choices are constrained by whether or not you found an item in a different place. Like, it's kind of weirdly similar to like Time Stories, actually. You know, the board game that we have played and talked about a lot in the past. Yeah. And and like I don't know, I was about to go into like just general like effusive praise for it, but like when we talk about like you have these trade-offs, like when we talk about the spells, like one of the spells that I found in my video was like just a skinning spell, which dealt damage to somebody by peeling their skin off, but there was a sanity effect. By watching this, you also lost your reason points.
Checks out.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. I would say the one thing, at least early on, that I would kind of like to see them tighten up a little bit is have the random encounters be at least somewhat related to the mystery you're investigating.
Right.
Because, most of them are like generic enough to, be fairly plausible, but there's definitely some that just don't really make sense.
Yeah, or it's like part of the meta thing. Like you are investigating a specific paranormal happening, but the entire town that you're in is cut off from the rest of the world and is also going crazy under the influence of this cult and this old god.
Right, exactly.
So like, you'll get a call from like a telephone evangelist, like a literal televangelist, and you can like choose whether or not to listen to him and stuff like that. Yeah. So
and I feel like
not everything is related.
Right, and I feel like that's fine, but then I feel like there's been ones where it's like, I don't know, say I'm investigating something very overtly oriented around, say, like the school. Like that's what the story is oriented around. And then I'll get a random encounter and be like, you're on your way to the appointment you set up with, Dr. Such and Such. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I'd say more of that. I would be interested to know, I wonder, is this actually made by like Japanese developers?
It's a Polish developer. And it's one guy who like did all the visuals in MS Paint and stuff.
This is the other side of Stardew Valley.
What's that?
So this is the other side of Stardew Valley. Another one person.
Yeah. It is. I presume like the majority of the work is by one guy. I don't know if he like subcontracted out for like individual parts of it.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So one question, just interested to know if you found anything or something. As far as I can tell, like recruiting teammates, they give a little bit of a stat boost, but then their only actual use is just to basically sacrifice in combat.
Yep. Either that, or if it's a teammate who is specific to that particular mystery, you have to make choices around them.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't figured out any way that they can actually fight in combat, but you can apparently just like use them as a distraction.
Yeah, you can use them as a distraction, or otherwise, like they will just by being there mitigate the damage that you get. Like they don't absorb it, but they cause you to take one less damage from attacks and things like that.
Oh, okay. I did not realize that.
Yeah. So it's like it's passive benefits more than anything.
Yeah. I'm a little bit interested to see, like, there's a couple mechanics that imply that. So, like, there's a number of mechanics that imply that your character, you could make decisions that cause your character to just go straight up off the deep end.
Yes.
For example, generally speaking, you're recruiting these teammates by like, either just using charisma or convincing them that like, hey, something's going down, we need to do this. Mm-hmm. However, you have the option to just like threaten them.
Yes.
Similarly, like at least one of my adventures, my character apparently became a cannibal. But I actually, died before I had any opportunity to act on it. But on the other hand, like if your sanity goes to 0, you just lose. So I'm interested to see what I guess kind of quote unquote like evil playthrough or kind of round looks like.
Yeah, and that's why I want to play more of it before I talk more in depth about it, because there's a lot of just kind of unfulfilled potential. Additionally, as this is being developed over the next 6 months to a year, they're going to be adding in more scenarios that you can do.
Yeah, which is really interesting. So
yeah,
but I do like also a lot of the kind of pop culture references entertain me. All of the Uzumaki references and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I just just give me more Uzumaki. There's a bunch of Drifting Classroom in there. Man, horror manga is really good, you guys.
Yeah, I need to find some place that I can download some of that. But also found, I think, a Hotline Miami reference.
It's possible.
Which is kind of random.
Yeah.
The if you inspect the claw hammer, it just says, "Do you like to hurt people?" Isn't that?
Yeah, that's straight up a Hotline Miami thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Man, I love this game so much, you guys.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It's so good.
So that's all I have.
Yeah, cool. Well, that sounds like a segment to me. Did you guys have any questions about World of Horror? Okay.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, I asked them about getting from point A to point B, and what modes of transportation are their favorite from the world of gaming.
Yeah. And I will get us started here with Dan, who says kind of an obvious one, I guess, but the skateboard from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, cruising around the Cali school, listening to No Cigar by Millencolin is bliss. Be still my heart.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Built into the game. The good music.
The mode of transport is the point of the game.
Yep. But it works. It is still a conveyance. Let's see here, David. What does Stuart say?
Stuart says, Cooper the Quick's shell from Mario 64. I would sometimes fire the game up just to see how many times I could ride the shell to the top of Mama Battlefield and back down without losing it.
Good on you for being able to do that. I can never control that damn thing.
Yeah.
Let's see, Ben. What does Warren say?
Warren says web swinging in the PS4 Spider-Man game may be the most fun, but exploring the galaxy in Elite Dangerous with a VR headset and flight stick is the most immersive experiences I've ever had.
That sounds real cool.
It does.
Yeah. Can't disagree with that. Dennis, what does Casey say?
He says the addition of the wingsuit to the grappling hook moveset of Just Cause 3 really took it over the top in terms of open world movement. However, my all-time favorite vehicle may be the DeLorean from Burnout Paradise because you could engage hover mode and cruise around the map. Oh,
I mean, and if you can't go too fast or else you'll go back to Paradise City in the 1950s and do the nasty and the pasty.
Now I just want to hear like an old-timey version of City.
Oh, take me down, Paradise City, where they ran.
Slapping your knee, you got the spoons going. I could see it.
Yeah. Somebody playing a fiddle in the background. Let's see here. Roop shared a meme. We have an image of Gabriel Knight from Gabriel Knight 3, Blood of the Sacred, Blood of the Damned at the scooter shop. I'm going to do this in the voice. Guess I'll have this Harley Caprice and Cool.
So can you
which
give
is
me
weird
some context?
Gabriel Knight is from New Orleans, but Tim Curry has never heard somebody who lives in New Orleans speak ever.
I can wing it, guys. We're good.
Yeah. In Gabriel Knight 3, you hoodwink somebody out of the Harley that they rented in order, so you do that by disguising themselves. So that's why Gabriel Knight in the image looks so goofy. And Cabrice and Core, it is a French voodoo term for goat without horns. And in Gabriel Knight 1, you send him all around the city, and that is just a thing you can ask people about. So you can walk up to a hot dog vendor and say, "What do you know about Cabri Sancourt?" So that is the long and short of that.
Stick as many knives as possible in it.
Thank you, Rip. Thank you. Man, I need to fuck. I mean, do you think Gabriel Knight would fit on Hexcrank? It would. It's like a supernatural, like you're dealing with like voodoo horror stuff.
This is what it means to be an adult, is you get to set the rules around.
Yes, that is the thing.
It's a good life right here.
Yeah, no, there's no governing body. It's just me.
Well, I mean, that and the Duck Tribunal.
I'm above them. I'm a living god. David.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt because I'm imagining Kole like sitting up on the pedestal with like the big black robes, and then like running down to the stand and arguing with himself about whether or not it is acceptable.
Yeah, it's a farce. It's a farce when I try and pretend that I am beholden to rules. Let's see, David, what does Tim say?
Tim says, I always love a good minecart level for a change of pace. A couple favorites are Resident Evil 4 and Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, Tim, I'm going to have to disagree with you, buddy.
I just got PTSD from the
Donkey Kong one?
Oh, man.
Oh, it's the RE4. It's unacceptable. The RE4 minecarts are unacceptable, man.
I was thinking of just the cutscene when you're going around the castle. How I guess you get in a minecart in one of those, right?
Yeah, like when you're below the castle and it has like an unwinnable QTE if you're playing it on PC.
Not that one. I'm talking about the one where it's like you go from one side of the castle.
No, that one's fine. But then there's the then there's the minecart that you're in where like all the enemies are jumping into it. It's like a minecart train. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's not great.
Yeah.
What about can we all agree though that Resident Evil 6 lava surfing is epic?
It is pretty epic. Let's see. Dennis, what does Patrick say?
He says, I've played a lot of Final Fantasy, including 11 and 14, so I think I'm contractually obligated to say Chocobos. Plus, I just love the music.
Hard to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Chocobos are good. It's a vehicle, but it's also cute.
This is true. We don't trade enough on the cuteness of vehicles.
No.
I feel like that should be a meaningful fact.
You've clearly never ridden in a Mini Cooper.
Or what was it? Your car, David. You wanted to put, like fake wind up.
The Fiat 500. Yeah.
Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says, can I cheat and just say fast travel? After all, once you found it once, why walk there when you can teleport?
Good answer. I mean, that's what I would rather do than literally, walking is fun. However, driving sucks. So yeah, no, it just, if we were grading this on what do I wish I could get a hold of, like, I'd rather have a teleporter than a sweet car. Yeah. Speaking of sweet cars, Ollie shares an image of what appears to be it's a very angular car. Ollie says what this is. This is the Escudo Pikes Peak. It is basically a little city car some genii stuck a 1,000 horsepower engine and body kit on. And Gran Turismo 2, when you can finally get this, it is basically cheat mode. I love it. This thing has a spoiler that's about the size of a billboard.
Nice. That's right. They only call it a spoiler because they post spoilers on it. So
yes, well, it's big enough that you can spoil most big name story game kind of things. Mm-hmm. David, what does Christopher say?
Christopher says any game that has a grappling hook.
You stole my answer. I can't believe you stole my answer. Give it back. You took it from me. And then finally, Ben, what does Lindsay say?
Lindsay says, Jet Moto is a great pool. I forgot the names of that game, so thank you. My answer is close to that. Pod Racers on N64 was so fun and fast that I have to go with that. Now, if I could Honey, I Shrunk Myself down Micro Machines would be awesome too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those Micro Machine games are fun.
Forever.
Yeah, those games are fun.
Macro Machines when you shrink yourself down.
No, I think they just become machines.
Only relatively.
No, it depends on how much you shrink.
Of course. Oh man, and they mentioned Jet Moto because that was the post image that Dennis selected on
which
Jet
is
Moto.
mine. I want me a hover bike.
Yeah, go for it. You want a hover bike?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I forget. What was that actually? Hover bikes? For some reason, I thought that was a like a jet ski game.
No. The very first track level of Jet Moto, a significant portion of it is over the ocean.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. I only played that on a demo disc.
Yep. So you probably would have gotten the track where a good portion, and you got to time the waves and the major conceit of that game is no wheels.
No wheels, just right.
Yeah, and I kind of there's a weird the design of specifically the Jet Moto hover bikes is just kind of funky in a way that I like. Like the air scoop on them is kind of just unwieldy and kind of under a giant kind of oversized beak of a nose.
They're very dorky is the thing.
Yeah, it's almost like it's so oddly shaped that it looks like it would be top heavy or whatever, but you got some sort of hover propulsion system going on there.
Yeah, all the rolls are out.
But it looks weird in a way that makes it feel more realistic, right? Like, oh, of course, whatever hover technology they've figured out probably requires some of this awkward design. So it sells it a little more in my head.
Yeah. Very cool. It had been forever since I thought about Jet Moto. That's a good answer. Mm-hmm. For me, because somebody chose grappling hooks and because somebody chose Spider-Man, I'm going to pull one like relatively recent. I don't even know if it's my favorite, but in Satisfactory, you can build basically a dune buggy called the Explorer. That is faster than everything you have gotten before, which has been like some manner of truck, like either a small tractor or like a large semi. Like most of the vehicles you build are meant to be automated. So like you set a waypoint for them to drive to like basically carry payloads from one end of the map to the other. The Explorer is just an incredibly zippy little dune buggy that is meant to just drift around the entire map and do cool jumps. And like all of the vehicles, it has like a little inventory. So like as you're exploring, you can load stuff into the back and then take it back to your base and unload it. So it combines two things that I like, which is sweet drifts and inventory management.
My answer's not too far off from yours. I was thinking of Sonica. The Cyclops changes the dynamic of the game where you kind of have base that you can explore the world with, and I think it's a real game changer.
It's like a Cyclops is like a big submarine you can drive.
Yeah, it can go deeper than anything you've built before, and then it has a whole bunch of like room to carry things, and you can craft things there. And you can dumbly set up a battery charger station like I did, which draws power off the ship.
No!
So it's kind of like an Ouroboros situation.
Wait, no, that's that was like key to my success in the game was the battery charging station. You just have to also get the thermal upgrade and just hang out on top of a thermal vent.
Yeah, that was the piece I was missing.
Man, this tells you how far I've gotten in Subnautica. Every attempt at that game, and I think I've made 3, I've fallen off before I've gotten any kind of meaningful vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, all I ever get is like the little like just dinghy you can hold on to that motors you around.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's the thing that would be tough for me playing like the sequel or whatever, because for me like the game is the vehicles in in particular, that's the only game I've ever played that really emphasizes kind of the, I guess, like projection from the vehicles, where it's not just your submarine, it's your submarine that you take to a certain point, but then you have to then take like the high pressure suit, down to actually get what you want, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That game's sweet.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
Below Zero or whatever is coming out sometime this year.
I've seen a lot of people playing it recently. I wonder if it got an appreciable upgrade recently or update.
It might have. I was reading about this over the weekend when we were streaming. But
yeah. Let's see here. So, David, have you done yours?
So, I mean, I feel like I'm obligated to say Super Jump from the
City Heroes. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Super Jump is amazing. And if you pick anything else, you're a cop.
A
Super Cop.
Another pretty good one though is, I think, in Planet Side, the max suits, which are sort of like the power armor suits you can get. You can basically turn on a like travel mode where you'll run super fast, but you can barely turn and you can't stop. Like stopping basically completely turns off the sprint. And what I like about that is just it seems to me like it kind of simulates the idea that this is actually, a machine with limitations, as opposed to the normal conceit of like power armor equals ninja.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you, Dennis, for putting that question up.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you in the future would like to participate in these, you can go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The End Boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things in the world of video games that are exciting us. I'm going to start out here with one that sounds like it's a negative, but I think it's actually a good thing. So coronavirus, it's not slowing down, and it's scary. It's probably not worth panicking right now if you are not living in China or in Asia, but it's worth considering and, measuring exactly what you're going to do with it. And so just today, I'm picking the story because it is the most recent one, but lots of video game industry events have been canceled in order to reduce the risk of spreading the novel coronavirus that is out there. And just today, Hideo Kojima has pulled out of GDC specifically due to concerns about that event, being a place where coronavirus will spread. This is in addition to Sony and Oculus not doing GDC, which, it's a huge deal for them. Like it's an industry event, like you recruit and stuff. The Final Fantasy 14 development team and Sony have pulled out of PAX. There was a whole show in Taiwan, I believe, where like Sony was going to reveal a bunch of new games, including Elden Ring, that was shut down because of this. And, even though this on its face is scary, and it might be a little bit disappointing that you're not going to, get new video game news and information stuff, like it is always good when companies and creators and just the general, powers that be decide that the health of their employees is worth preserving, and we can take a temporary hit if it means not contributing to the people we depend on getting sick. So
at a certain point, the only left is EA is forcing their employees to go.
Right. Yeah.
That's like the consideration I was reading earlier today, a discussion of like, could how would this would coronavirus be an issue if it had happened in America? It's like, well, we've basically set up a system where we, encourage people to go to work even when they're sick because, no mandatory time off. And we encourage people not to go to doctors because, no health insurance.
No, we'd be turbo fucked. Yeah. And I'm choosing not to focus on the scary part of this because I focus on the scary part of it all the other hours of the week where I'm not on here. So I just wanted to raise that as a positive.
Stepping sideways in industries, it is an interesting phenomenon that like every Kickstarter board game out there is getting coronavirus.
Yes.
In terms of delivery timelines and all that stuff. Like it
is
shutting that industry down.
Yeah, it is revealing specifically how much all of our supply chains are dependent on China. You know, like I'm not saying that like with like a value attached to it. I really have no idea if that is a good or a bad thing, but like oftentimes we do not have to think about that as consumers of things and to understand exactly, where our bottlenecks are. It is interesting educationally at the very least. Yeah. Let's see. Both Ben and Dennis have stories related to Red Dead Redemption 2. So Ben, I'm going to throw to you first.
All right. I think you said something that was bad that was good. Mine is something that maybe sounds good, but bad/funny. Red Dead Redemption 2 got a hot coffee mod similar to Grand Theft Auto. And then it's already got a cease and desist from Rockstar.
No.
So it probably doesn't exist anymore 3 days later. But the funny part is you can still see videos of this happening, and it's very weird. People are fully clothed. They're taking sound bites of people from other situations. It's like Arthur screaming as if he's in peril.
Yeah.
So it's really weird, and the animation is for something else. So like Arthur looks like he's I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's like the uncanny valley of sex, but it's really weird. But it's a sight to behold. So you should check it out. It's technically not safe for work, but honestly, it's not safe for work. It's not safe for work. It's very funny, I think. So enjoy.
It's weird that so it is both weird but not surprising that Rockstar might be sensitive about anything hot coffee related, even 16 years later.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It looks like they grabbed Arthur's falling animation, the way he's waving his arms.
Yes, yeah.
Someone should never show the game industries, the more questionable Skyrim mods.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they start at horse genitals and get worse. I'm not being gross, and I'm not like being like edgy with that. Like that is literally just somebody. People make mods. People make mods.
You can be truthful and still gross.
Yes, that is true.
Well,
I'm not intentionally being provocative.
To be fair, though, isn't that already a feature of Red Dead 2?
Sex?
Oh
Horse
no, I
genitalia.
meant horse genitalia.
I think maybe. Yeah.
Seems like I read an article just pointing out like how disturbingly realistic someone had taken the time to do that.
Yeah, that was one of the first things we did in the game was how the guys climb into a wall.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dennis, what's going on with this murderer?
Yeah, so as if the hot coffee mod wasn't enough, 2 NPCs have gained sentience.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Whoops. Westworld, kind of.
Yeah, how appropriate that our Westworld moment comes from a game set in the West.
Yeah.
Basically, a streamer has been playing the game and had a random NPC just decide to come and shank another NPC for a reason that has yet to be explained in terms of the actual like code or logic of what was going on. So the play-by-play is that he exits the building and starts walking down the sidewalk, passes someone that apparently had a grudge against him, and that NPC starts trying to pick a fight. At which point an NPC from basically across the map, like from the other side of the building, hoofs it, like makes a beeline for this guy. And instead of like tackling him or punching him in the back of the head, sticks a knife in the back of his neck. Mission accomplished. This third-party NPC, having killed the NPC assaulting you, just calmly walks away.
Yeah, as you
so
would.
The community, like you do. The community's been tearing the video apart, trying to analyze what exactly might have been going on, and there aren't really any satisfactory answers yet.
I mean, is it the case that like people will try and stop you if you're being assaulted by townspeople?
If that was the case, he would have just tackled the guy or punched him in the back of the head. Like, this NPC just straight up stabs the other guy. So
Rockstar's like, we didn't even program shivs in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if I was Rockstar, I would put something like this in as a corner case and, wait for a streamer to see it and ask the question and then say, I have no idea. There's nothing like this. What's going on? Is this a haunted copy of the game specifically for the buzz marketing around it?
That'd be fantastic. It's like the one in some of the recent Call of Duty or Medal of Honor or whatever games.
Yeah, Battlefield games. Yeah.
There you go. I missed them both.
Yeah. I do have to, as a point of order, you said there's no satisfactory explanation. I would say there are many satisfactory explanations, just none of them may be true.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's no explanation that fits within what we know about the way the AI works.
Nothing matches the rules of law, the rules of man or code.
Yeah.
So
the 3 laws of robotics.
The closest thing they can find is that because the actual player didn't actually throw punches in the fight, they were just blocking the other guy, that somehow that guy got tagged as like a menace, and this NPC responded to that. But again, there should be several levels of escalation before going straight to neck stabs.
Neck stabs are a sometimes treat. Yeah. Huh. David, you got a story?
I do not.
Attaboy. How do you guys feel about buttoning it up?
Buttons!
The credit.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level. Though this episode might not be of longer than usual length, we have been recording for a longer than usual time for technical reasons. So we're going to make this outro as quick as possible. You know what to do. You can back us on Patreon. You can leave a rating or review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts or what have you. And you can tell your friends. Is there anything important that I'm missing besides thanking the people who watched the stream or contributed for the weekend for Bernie?
I think that's it.
Okie doke. Cool. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can watch me on Twitch, although I haven't been for a while, at Deck of Wonders, all one word.
Cool.
I've been having a good time. And my name is David Meismith.
All right.
I've been Ben Merkel at Merkleby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles. So we have some titles.
I've got 2.
Okay.
I've got Bankrupt Paramilitary Ninjas.
Okay.
And then the buzzer beater, Neck Stabs Are a Sometimes Treat.
Okay.
Yeah, I had neck stabs are a sometimes treat, or several levels before neck stab.
Neck stab. Okay. Ben, what you got?
Got a self-indulgent week. I have Uncanny Valley of Sex.
I also have Uncanny Valley of Sex. Let's see here. I also have He Donatello Me. And then Sweet Drifts and Inventory Management. That was self-indulgent. Who has feelings?
I wish.
So like everybody laughed at He Donatello me, which is very funny. But
will it translate in text?
I don't care if it translates in text. I mean, it's in our reaction to it was so poisonous that like it almost has to. I mean, I don't know.
That's fine by me. I got exactly the reaction we wanted.
Yeah.
What's that you said, Ben?
I said it wins the applausometer.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's. I think that's good.
Done.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Thanks you guys for weathering the storm and the tech stuff. Thanks for staying on later than usual. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. You guys take care.
Good hanging out. See you around.
I'll see you in a bit. Bye.
I got to readjust to where the hang up button. This is tough.